Titanic. Myths and misconceptions surrounding the sinking of the Titanic. The Titanic was a British passenger liner that famously sank in the North Atlantic Ocean on April 15, 1912, after colliding with an iceberg during its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, to New York City. The ship was carrying over 2,200 passengers and crew, and more than 1,500 people lost their lives in the disaster. The Titanic was one of the largest and most luxurious ships of its time, with state-of-the-art amenities and technology. It was owned by the White Star Line and was designed by the famous naval architect, Thomas Andrews. The ship was over 880 feet long, 92 feet wide, and 175 feet high, and it had a maximum speed of 24 knots. The Titanic was equipped with various safety features, including watertight compartments that were designed to keep the ship afloat even if multiple compartments were flooded. However, the ship's design did not anticipate the possibility of a major breach in the hull caused by an iceberg, which ultimately led to the ship's sinking. The sinking of the Titanic was a major tragedy that shocked the world and led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. The disaster has inspired numerous books, films, and documentaries, and it continues to fascinate people to this day. In recent years, several expeditions have been launched to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, which lies over 12,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. These expeditions have provided valuable insights into the conditions of the ship and the events that led up to its sinking. There are several myths and misconceptions surrounding the sinking of the Titanic. Here are some of them. The Titanic was unsinkable. This is one of the most common myths about the Titanic. While the Titanic was built to be highly advanced and luxurious for its time, it was never marketed as unsinkable. In fact, the Titanic's builders and owners were aware of the risks associated with ocean travel and took steps to make the ship as safe as possible. The Titanic hit an iceberg head-on. Many people believe that the Titanic struck the iceberg head-on, but this is not true. The ship actually hit the iceberg with its side, which caused more damage and made it harder to contain the flooding. The crew ignored iceberg warnings. This myth suggests that the crew of the Titanic received multiple warnings about icebergs in the area, but ignored them. In reality, the Titanic did receive warnings about ice in the area, but many of these warnings were vague and did not specifically mention icebergs. Additionally, the ship's crew did take steps to avoid icebergs, such as altering the ship's course and reducing its speed. The Titanic sank in one piece. Contrary to popular belief, the Titanic did not sink in one piece. As the ship began to flood and break apart, it split in two, and the stern section sank separately from the bow. The Titanic's musicians played until the end. Another popular myth is that the Titanic's musicians continued to play as the ship sank, providing comfort to the passengers. While the ship's musicians did play music as the evacuation began, it is not clear if they continued to play until the end. Some survivors reported hearing music, while others did not. These are just a few of the myths and misconceptions surrounding the sinking of the Titanic. While they may make for interesting stories, it is important to separate fact from fiction when learning about historical events.